Hi, everybody. My name is Todd Menard, and this is an updated version of the Greater Phoenix Metropolitan Real Estate Market Statistics for the week ending October 20th, 2025. Let's get right into our numbers. 80 days on market this past week. A month's supply was 5.12. Absorption rate is at 19.53. Average list price this past week, $743,017. And average sale price this past week, $597,520. List price sale price retention this week, 97.53. Looking at active inventory is at 26,279. Pending is at 3715, and closed units at 3146 month to date in October. Looking at new listings taken, we took 2,061 listings this past week. Days on market for active inventory is at 92 and at close for 80. Taking a look at the lower left-hand segment where we deal with our price ranges. This is of the available inventory that's available right now in the Greater Phoenix metropolitan area. And it's done in price range. So it tells you how many properties are located within those price ranges, what the specific days on market for as an average for that particular market, and the total percentage of the MLS inventory that one segment represents. Taking a look, you'll see everything is positive. It is not. There's no negative signs, nothing in red. So each market segment grew according to the total of percentage change. Let's take a look at the overall MLS market. Properties listed between the price of 0 and 600,000 represents 67.19% of the MLS. Taking a look at properties between $600,000 and $1 million, representative of 19.64, and for $1 million and up, 13.7. Take a look at the spreadsheet where everybody gets to be the expert. Why? Because you have week over week, you have same week over week, same period, and you also have 2024 and 2023 in those categories. So taking a look, we're at 2061 this past week, we're at 2063. So pretty much the same amount of inventory added to the MLS this week as prior. And if we take a look and compare it to last year, we did better by about 50 units and also significantly better than 2 years ago. Taking a look at the actual active inventory, it's sitting at 26,279. Of those, or I should say that particular price range is 20.98% higher than the previous year and significantly higher than 2 years ago. Looking at the 26,279, 557 of those are in the coming soon category, 19,946 in the single family distressed, non-distressed category, 2,817 new home construction properties, and 25,885 representative of the non-distressed. You can see right here that category makes up 98.5% of the entire MLS, meaning that the short sale market and the distressed market only represents less than 1.5%. That's considered right now the default rate is approximately 7.5%, which is considered normal in the lending world, that about 6.5% to 8% are going to default. Since 2013 through 2025, 2024, we were averaging about 4.5%. So when this market comes back, obviously you see a jump in the numbers. You can take a look at 2 years ago, there were only 19 short sales. Now there's 202. But when you look at it as a whole, as long as this number stays under 1.5, typically we're not having any kind of a distressed boom. What we're having are just common, normal people having difficulties paying their bills. They might have bought about the 2022 February time period, and so they paid the peak of the market back then, and for the COVID period. And so as a result, they're not part of that group that you typically hear that, oh, well, over 50% of properties have 35% or greater equity. This isn't that group. Obviously, people that have that type of equity are typically able to access it before they get into some significant financial damage. But again, it could happen at any segment at any time based on life events, right? Okay, so of the 26,279, as we roll through these, you can see the different categories. Taking a look at pending, which is how many buyers are in escrow at any one particular time, we're at 3,715. This is a really strong sign because this has been in the 27 to 3,000 range for so long, or low 3,000 range. that we're at 3715. This is the highest we've been in consideration of exceeding last year's number of buyers in the marketplace. So right now, last year there were 3,649 people in escrow at this particular specific week. There's 3,715 right now. So that's basically 1.8% higher. If we take a look at 2 years ago, we're at 2816. So there's a lot more buyers in the market right now. Sellers are putting their houses on the market. Buyers are coming back into the market, buying it. If this continues this way for the next couple of weeks, then we are actually seeing September's market finally, except it's in October this year, a month delayed. Taking a look at closed inventory, 3,146. This is a big sign because, again, we're early in the marketplace and we're right about the same closing month to date as we were last year. That's a good sign. You can see the year before that was also very, very similar. So we were eating up inventory. Right now, it's not being eaten up. It's about average, commensurate with the number of properties that are being brought in. Looking at month supply, we're at 5.12, down from 5.2. That's good. We're getting closer to that 4-month supply that we're looking for. You can see we're in a 4.37, and the sweet spot is that 2.5 to 3. So 3.5% is really meaning the market is humming. It's going quite, it's eating up and churning, but replacing at the same time that inventory. Taking a look at average list price, average sale price, and the median sold price. You can see it's $464,995. That's up $10,000. So all this means is the properties that were closed in the last 7 days, the median price was $464,995 versus the properties that closed the week before, where its median price was $454,425. So you'll notice over here when we look at the months, you can see the year-over-year perspectives, and that's really when you want to pay attention to the median. In the meantime, if you just like to see, what's going on in the market, they're averaging 743. What's closing, they're averaging 597. So it kind of gives you a little bit of insight into what's going on. Here's another thing that's going on. It was 94 days on market a year ago, 69 2 years ago, where we've been in that, I'd say 80, high 80, low 90 period for such a long time. And right now we're at 80. So in essence, the market has over the last 8 weeks has continued to get a little bit faster, not a lot. 2 weeks, if we're averaging 1% per week, it's about 12% lower, which means faster than it had been prior to that. And the final number is the list price to sale price retention. Historically, over the last 5 years, has been 97.8%. So 97.5 is significantly better than 97.2. And what this basically means is that the seller giving up more money than they gave up last week or last year? Are they keeping more money of that list price? And so you can see over here it was 97.68 a year ago, 98% 2 years ago, because we were truly in a seller's market back then. Right now, we're in that transition market between 4 to 6. So 97.3, the average seller is giving up 2.5% off of the list price to entice the buyer to close on to enter into a contract with the seller. So here's something I just like to shout out there to whether you're a buyer, whether you're a seller, whether you're a realtor representing either of the categories, either of the principals. Here's the thing. Before you put a price in or negotiate on a property, you should know what the list price to sale price retention is. Not necessarily the original list price to sale price retention, because sometimes people price their house a little high in the beginning, or certainly at market or above market. And then as they start to want to sell, maybe have more of a need to sell, they have typically drop that list price. Well, a list price to sale price is at the time the seller accepted that buyer's offer, what was the difference between the list price and the sale price offered in that offer that was just accepted and entered into escrow. And so it's saying that naturally, historically, organically, it's been about a 2.2% negotiation. This past week, it was a 2.47, negotiation. You need to know that. Then, of course, take a look at the concessions that are built into the contract. Now, that's a different calculate. It's a different statistic. You can still get it out of the MLS. You go into that particular area, and you're only looking now, not for Todd's state of Arizona, not for national news. You're looking at this just for that property within that specific community that the buyer is interested in putting an offer in. And you're looking to see how much did the seller give up in concessions. Now, the point of why you want to know that is because the internal part of your purchase contract has how much concessions are you asking the seller to pay. So if the buyer needs a lot of concessions, then they may not they may not ask for as much of a sale price discount and may increase the amount of concession and vice versa. So by looking at these two numbers, you can see the average taking place in this neighborhood is this 2.5% negotiation. And then whatever the property indicates is the average concession for the properties that are being sold. That's the total money on the table. It doesn't matter whether it's the sale price discount or the concessions. And then you now know approximately in that neighborhood, based on that purchase price, or that list price, approximately how much money is able for you to help your buyer negotiate on their terms. Sometimes the buyer gets an estimated settlement sheet from the buyer's lender, which is what I highly recommend. Before you even go look at properties, make sure that the buyer, how much funds does the buyer have available? Do they have the amount available to all of the down payment money, the closing costs, the compensation, things of this nature? Do they have the ability to do that, to pay it all or not? And if the answer is no, that tells you how much you need to consider negotiating in this contract and whether it's more important to have it come from the seller for the buyer's assistance in closing, having the fees necessary to close, all of them. Or is it something where the buyer would be much happier just with a larger discount? If I'm not having to pay specifically any concessions or ask for any concessions, there's money on the table. Maybe I should put in an offer at a little less. So listing agents should do the same thing, because if you're not doing that, you are improperly positioning your seller. The seller needs to know in today's market, what are the homes that are selling in my neighborhood selling for? Not the price, the sale price to list price retention. How much did the seller get to keep? And also, what is the average that buyers in our neighborhood are requesting for concessions to be paid by the seller? Those are two huge things that are available in the marketplace. And from any practitioner or buyer or investor's perspective, you need to know those numbers. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to reach out and give me a call. I'll be happy to help any way I can. Thanks so much. See you next week.